Now we have Sangeeta Narasimhan on stage. Good morning, Sangeeta.
Good morning, Ruben.
She is the EMEA Marketing Director for Ingenico ePayments. She's a long-term experience professional linked to payments methods. She has worked for Hewlett-Packard, Sage Pay, and the last 5 years for Ingenico ePayments in London. She's going to introduce us to show us the rich environment of payment methods in Europe. Her Spanish is even worse than my English, so she's going to speak us in English. I hope it's no problem for you, for us. And the objective with this speech is that we understand how many different payment methods we need to control, we need to use if we want to succeed in our cross-border strategy. I let Sangeeta with her speech. Thank you very much, Sangeeta.
Thanks, Ruben, and hello, everyone. Hola. I promise you, if you keep inviting me to Spain, physically, I will learn Spanish and present in Spanish next time. But everyone, hi, everyone. Sorry that I'm presenting in English, but it's really nice to meet you all here, even though virtually. So as Ruben said, I'm Sangeeta Narasimhan. I take care of marketing for Europe for SMB Online, which is the online payments division of Ingenico. So today we are here to present about what payment methods work in Europe. And before we start, I just want to thank you all for coming, even the presenters, marketing for e-commerce, the organizers. We've all been through a tough few months, and it's not easy to just ignore what's gone and then keep the business going. It's very impressive how all of us have also continuing to make efforts to keep things going, learn new things, and adapt to the current situation. So I just want to say thank you all and hope you're all safe and well before I start. So before we actually move on to the presentation, just a few housekeeping things to go through. Just thought we'll make it a bit more interactive. We've all done webinars and virtual conferences now, so let's engage as well through the presentation. So there's going to be a little quiz, not too many questions, just 3. If you could participate in it, would be great. And the interesting thing is that Marketing for E-commerce is going to throw in a quiz question on Twitter as I present. And if you answer that, there's a chance to win a 50 euro Amazon voucher for one of you if you find the right answer. So, and again, if you're wondering what the polar bear and the jelly eel are doing, just watch my presentation closely and you will find the Easter egg answers in it. So, and again, a little bit about Ingenico. So as you say, I'm from Ingenico ePayments, which is the online and mobile payments division of the bigger Ingenico Group. Ingenico Group is a global company. And if you haven't really heard about Ingenico Group before, I think after my presentation, just watch how you pay for things physically, and you will come across our terminals in most of your day-to-day interactions. So probably many of us are using Ingenico in a day-to-day life, but it's a brand that's hardly seen. And even if you don't see it physically, we are actually the brand behind, we are powering the payments of a lot of institutions such as banks and acquirers. We are also process online payments. That's again something not very widely known, but we also are behind some of the biggest payments processing for some of the biggest retailers across the world. And we have a great platform stability. We have over 40 years of experience in payments, so we know the end-to-end process, and we have a great stability on our platform and a great expertise across all countries, specifically in Europe. We're actually a French-founded company headquartered in France, and so we have a very, very strong presence in Europe. So moving on from today's agenda, today what I'm going to do is first start a little bit of introduction about what payment methods mean and dispel some of the myths that surround it. We'll also not ignore the P word, the pandemic, and the L word, the lockdown. So we'll touch a little bit on the e-commerce trends during lockdown, because I think some of that is going to carry over for the future as well. And we'll then talk about payments as we speak, and as we do the quiz, we will talk about the payments landscape across Europe and what is really important for Spanish merchants to know. And finally, we'll end with how you can optimize your payments performance. Sounds good? Excellent. So here we go. So the first thing first. So if you really look at how you as an e-commerce merchant operate, you're spending a lot on customer acquisition, aren't you? You're spending on Google ads, you're spending on search engine marketing. I'm a marketing director. I know how much I spend on driving visitors to our website. And then you're spending a lot on product placement, making sure that people place their product on the cart, making sure that they taking them to the checkout. Even that process, if you really look at it, you are spending a lot. But when you come to the payments page, how much care are you giving to that part? How do you know if you're offering the right payment methods? Is the right currency displayed for the buyer? And how is it even after they convert, even if you mobile optimized your page and everything, and after they convert, did you know that people can still leave and can lose the sale after people have actually checked out and paid for their goods? Because a lot of transactions get declined. Authorization rates are important. Fraud controls, the fraud controls you have in place might affect your checkout process as well. So the reason for my presentation today is while you take so much care and spend so much money into your marketing efforts and bringing your customer to the website, finding the right product and helping them purchase, do pay a bit of attention to your payment process as well. And that's what we're going to talk about, which is the payment methods. So before we go on to payment methods, many of us, when we ask, how would you like to pay when we are about to pay, we think of credit card and debit cards as payment methods. But to make it clear for you and to explain it a bit better, we've just broken payment methods into families, actually. So you have the credit cards, which you know, which are Visa, MasterCard, international credit cards like Amex, which work in many countries. But that is not all. There are also domestic credit cards, which we will talk today, because each country has its own system of payment, which is very popular with the consumers there. So you need to understand what those domestic cards are. People also can pay by direct debit. Cash payments like multi-banco is popular in Portugal. And then real-time banking is increasingly getting more and more popular in Europe, where you just have to take the money from your direct bank account, and consumers are increasingly warming up to the idea of real-time banking in many countries. Consumer credit payments are getting very popular. Installment payments like One, I think we have a partnership with One in Spain now. People are also looking how they can split payments, and that's increasingly getting popular. You have open invoice and installment payments such as Klarna, which I think has launched in Spain now. And of course, we can't ignore the payment wallets such as Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, Alipay, if you want to attract Chinese consumers. These are again, you have container wallets. So the way we pay itself can be broken down into many, many different ways. And as a merchant, coming to the checkout process and knowing what to offer and what is right for the market you're targeting can be a bit confusing, but there are ways to work around it. And let's see if we can take you through that today. So again, coming back to our situation currently, and what's happening is that in the midst of the pandemic and the lockdown, it is true that global attitudes to how we pay are shifting. And if you think that Spanish customers, 60% of Spanish customers who have been forced to buy online during the course of the lockdown, are we going to abandon that? No, it is set to continue. So the good news for merchants is that people are going to embrace digital technologies more. People are going to embrace online more. There's a lot more of demographics of consumers coming into the online world, such as the over 55s, people who are reluctant because they had security fears or fraud concerns. They're all moving online, and debit card and credit card usage is going to increase because of that. And hence, it's very important to understand digital methods of payment. However, as we all look at how the e-commerce was affected, not commerce, just industries in general was affected. Not every industry was affected in the same way. If you take for Spain, which is so heavily reliant on travel and tourism, yes, it's 95% was impacted. And I mean, we couldn't do anything, could we? But there were industries that little bit here and there which also grew, and who also had adapted quickly and thrived. So if you look at retail, you can say it's positive, but it's really not all sectors of retail. People weren't going and shopping for clothes and shoes. They were shopping groceries online. A lot of the purchasing patterns were defined by our confinement behavior. If you say that home and industries were growing, it's not like we were constructing big things, but we were all busy sprucing up our houses, getting our wardrobes sorted, buying little plants, and doing a bit more gardening if you were in England, and doing other things. So the pandemic did not affect all of the industries uniformly. And the other thing that you need to remember is that coming back to understanding how the pandemic affected, it affected all countries, but also the buying pattern was different across every country. So that across the industries, we see that people purchase in different ways. But what we also have to remember, coming to our topic, which is on payment methods and how you can convert more by optimizing your payments pages, consumers would drop out if their payment methods are not preferred. So we are in a very competitive landscape. While it's great that everybody is moving online, merchants are going to now face increased competition, because that's the way everyone, whether they are in store or online, they want to push ourselves to go. So it's very important to understand that people will drop out if their preferred payment method is not offered. So coming to a little quirky quiz now, quiz question. So understanding culture and traditions is important. So here's a question that's a bit quirky. It's not true that everyone's going to do this in this country and eat this dish, but it's just a quirky quiz. And in which country is the jelly eels are a traditional dish? So answer this question. Hope the voting works. Again, please be patient. Marketing for e-commerce team, I've put a lot of effort into bringing this conference online. So I hope the quiz works. But yeah, is it Sweden? A. Is it Spain? B. C. The UK? Or D. Portugal? In which country is jelly eels a traditional dish? Giving you a second to cast your votes, and I hope the voting works, Ruben. Then we go to the answer. So it's actually in the UK, and it's a traditional English dish that originated in the 18th century in the east of London, which sees chopped eels boiled in a spiced stock, allowed to cool and set, forming a jelly which is eaten cold. Not for vegans like me, but there it is. So anyway, just a bit of breaking away from the normal and getting back to our topic is that the most important thing is to know cross-border. If you know cross-border, you can grow cross-border. What is interesting about Spain is that a lot of Spanish consumers actually shop abroad very easily, because it's about finding the right product. And if they don't find it in the domestic e-commerce, they do go abroad and purchase. But I think there's a big scope in Spanish for Spanish merchants to attract consumers from other markets into Spain. And what do you need to do that? Because what I came across in my research is that the most popular countries Spanish merchants look to expand are the UK, Germany, and France. And naturally, consumers there are more ready to buy from other markets. So how can you capture these markets? And one of the ways that you can do is by understanding how people pay. So if it's all credit cards and PayPal and debit cards in Spain, it's not the same in other countries. In the UK, for example, Amex is also important. Credit cards and PayPals and wallets are important. And if you go to the Netherlands, Ideal is a pretty important payment method for the Netherlands. Most of the Dutch consumers have an Ideal card and they pay through that. And if you want to expand into Belgium, thinking about bank contact is very important. And in France, though credit cards are the popular payment method, there's a consortium called Carte Bancaire. And if you don't offer Carte Bancaire, your chances of conversion is going to be very less. So understanding how not only the culture when it comes to localization, but also how people pay is pretty important. Now, moving on to our next quiz question. So understanding localization is the key to conversion. So These are logos that are very familiar to domestic consumers in which countries? So which countries are these the most prevalent online payment option? So look at the choices on your screen, and I hope the voting works, and make the choice. So I'll just give it a minute for you to actually hopefully the voting is all working. So the development of cross-border, as you are voting, I just wanted to take you through this. Cross-border actually offers a real opportunity for you to expand beyond your local market. And it's important, as I've said, is that not every country has MasterCard and Visa. So even when there are credit cards which are offered, we will find that they're actually hidden inside wallets like PayPal or even in Apple Pay or another payment method. So understanding localization is actually really, really important. And also how people pay. In German shoppers, if you take, for example, they would like a clear financial view, and they will use invoice payments or direct debit. And in Belgium, for example, bank contact and bank buttons are a must-have. And so it's very important as you go to understand what the local payment methods are. So the answer for that question was, it was carte bancaire for France, ideal for Netherlands, and bank contact for Belgium. So it's really important to understand. So why is that important? So it's also about feeling secure. So as a consumer, if you offer the right payment method, which is familiar to it, to the consumer, it also enhances your security. It helps you reach more customers. It helps you decrease your costs and increase the revenue. So security is another important reason why local payment methods need to be offered. So moving on to the next question. Again, this is the question that gives you a chance to earn a €50 voucher. So please tweet your answers to Marketing for E-commerce Twitter account and tag us, if possible, in Ingenico_epayments. You also can use the hashtag next20 that Ruben told in the beginning of the presentation. And we'll run this Twitter competition through today, and at the end of the day, you will get a chance to win a €50. One lucky winner will get a chance to win a €50 voucher. So remember this question: credit cards account for what percentage of payments in Netherlands and Germany? All right. So as we talk through this, I just want to kind of say that one of the other things that why localization and knowing the payment methods is very important is because you need to understand how online risk management works. So every payment method actually carries its own risk. So while direct debit or the instant payment methods, the real-time banking payment methods actually might carry very less chance of fraud and chargebacks, credit cards and other wallet kind of payments actually help you increase your reach because they are easier to pay. So having the right mix of payment methods is also important, but also understanding that each payment method carries its own risk also is pretty important when you go and do your expansion. So again, just going to try that. And again, cost, another thing to important as you answer this question on Twitter is to understand costs. So if you think that I want 150 payment methods, most payments provider can offer you a variety of payment methods, but also remember that each payment method carries its own transaction costs. So understanding that means that you actually need to choose the right payment method for the country that converts, and also be aware of the cost of such a payment method as well. And then finally, while you understand the payment methods, we've talked about carte bancaire for France. For Germany, it's all invoice payments. For Belgium, it's bank contact. And for Netherlands, it's ideal. And if you're going a bit beyond, it's Twint in Switzerland. So every country, the most important takeaway for you is to understand that every domestic country in the European region can also have a popular payment method, and understanding how people want to pay is important. And the other thing that's really important, also don't forget the display currency and the currencies important of currency. It's not euros everywhere. If you want to expand into the UK, you need to display pricing in pounds, and also to be able to take payments in pounds. So do understand that even though it's Europe, some of the European countries have different currencies as well. So then next, coming to, again, it's not just about payment methods. So optimizing your conversion, again, the last mile of conversion, and looking at your payments ecosystem goes beyond payment methods. There are 4 things that you need to remember. First is authorization rates are important. And as I said, even after someone clicks the pay button, enters their card details, it can still be declined. So it's very important to know how authorization rates work, and they differ by payment methods and they differ by payment service providers. So it's very important to choose someone who can give you a higher authorization rate, because there's nothing more annoying than to enter all your details and then have it decline. And again, be aware that 3D Secure can affect your authorization rates. The SCA is coming, PSD2 and compliance is coming. So I hope you're all thinking about that when you actually think about authorization rates as well. And customer experience is super important. So having a checkout process that is frictionless is very important. Having it mobile optimized is important. And also thinking about various ways, again, in customer experience, I just think it's going to get even more fragmented. We were just barely starting to get to grips with m-commerce, and now we are talking about social commerce, and then we're talking about conversational commerce and how you can convert your chat experience into a buy payment experience. So I think customer experience is a moving goalpost, and it's only going to be even more competitive in the coming year, actually. And localization, of course, is very important. We talked about payment method as one of the factors to consider, but you should also, of course, naturally consider language, currency, how you display things. Trust marks vary with various countries. And each country has its own trust mark that is popular with the consumers there. So it's either Trustpilot, Trusted Shops, or Spain could have its own unique trust marks. So understanding when you expand into a particular country, what are the trust marks the consumers expect to make them feel secure is also very important. And the last one is actually fast settlement. So having access to your funds is super important, because even after the payments are made by the consumer, it doesn't come to your bank account as a merchant immediately. So you do need to look at how many days you lose and how quickly you can get your money into your bank account. So coming to a little bit of a close, what we will see in the future is that business continuity will also be a driver of change. It was not so much before. We weren't so much bothered about availability. We were more bothered, I would say, about the user experience, how quickly we could do things. But what we've seen in the course of the last few months is that it's also important to have to be able to continue your business when things go wrong. And thankfully, digital and online and social offer us abilities to do that. We're all able to work from home. We are able to attend virtual conferences. So we will be able to do business online as well. But what is really important is that to understand that what might change is that we should find ways to lower the barriers and build trust. E-commerce is a great level playing field. There are many successful businesses who have expanded overseas and captured. People are ready to wait 3 weeks for goods from China. So why not? We buy from Spain if you can ship it quicker. So, and the other thing to remember is that the concept of retail is not going to be in-store, online, and fragmenting. The retail is retail, but understand what your consumer needs and go towards personalization. So instead of just pushing all your products, digital also offers a way to actually understand what people are interested in. Using data, business insights is super important, and it can help you get there. Build resilient models for e-commerce. It is not true that all e-commerce companies did well. E-commerce was not prepared for the pandemic. And a lot of things, even we've learned along the way from the lessons learned. There were a lot of companies hit with refunds and chargebacks, which had to be managed. So really think about building a more resilient model and allow new business opportunity. And to think beyond online and in-store, because it's not all about accepting payments online. There are other ways to pay as well. People could pay through phone, people could pay through, remember, we are bringing in a lot of people, demographics into online now. So it's we need to make payments also inclusive. So you have right now ability to make payments through link. Pay by link is getting very popular, which means that you get a SMS text and you can actually pay through that link, which will enable you to take payments offline as well. So think about offering, just not go beyond just the payment methods, and think about offering more ways to pay in different means, so that your business continuity is ensured in the times of crisis. And of course, the blocking factors we've seen is that we need to spruce up our operations. Every country was affected by supply chain issues and logistics. So finding new ways to deliver our products and services could be a barrier. And customer expectations are changing. So last week in the UK, what we discovered is that when the malls opened, people didn't rush to the malls to actually browse. People knew the people who went to the mall actually know what they want to buy, and they're buying. So customer behavior, buying patterns are changing. So understand that, and online actually can help increase your visibility before the customer steps inside the store and knows what to buy. And again, I want to close with saying that payments is not about a payment method or conversion rates. It's not about one factor. There are several factors that go into actually making payments work for you. And we call that ultimate payments performance. And that includes reporting, end-to-end solutions, having an intuitive user interface, having a frictionless payment page where you look at the user design. Compliance is super important to note, because the GDPR and PCI compliance and PSD2, all of that is becoming super important in Europe. So understanding and working with a payment provider who knows what it is and is compliant is very important. Having superior conversion rates is important. Availability and unmatched uptime is, of course, now even more important. So there's a lot of things that goes into building a your payments performance strategy. So you can talk to us about it. Naturally, we are 40 years. Ingenico is actually in its 40th year this year. It's a very resilient, stable business, a global business. We have the experience in payments, and we can offer, apart from all the 150 payment methods you might need, we could also do that. But actually, we can offer, what we do is that we have an all-inclusive contract, which gives you 14 essential payment methods, which can give you 90% coverage in Europe. And when you say all-inclusive, what does that mean? Is that you just need to have a single contract with us. You have the visibility of refunds from our single portal. We have a good fraud algorithm, and you benefit from settlement and local support. We do offer support in Spanish as well, and in local languages. So do get in touch with us. Oscar and Mercedes are somewhere in the audience, in the virtual audience. I'm sure if you want one-to-ones with them, they'll be happy to talk to you. And finally, just want to remind you about the Twitter quiz that is going on. So here's the quiz question. So in case you want to answer, please do go for it. And we will actually ship the cross-border guide to you. So all of you who've attended this conference will get a free cross-border guide, which focuses only on payment methods in Europe. Again, a reminder for the Twitter competition. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them. Thank you. And over to you, Ruben.
Thank you very much, Sangeeta. I've learned a lot with this presentation. I'm thankful for that. I have at least one question for you. We are a little out of time, but I think for people with an e-commerce, it can be stressing thinking about installing, integrating all these payment methods. How difficult it is to integrate these payments methods like Multibanco, Sofort, Ideal, Belfius? It's like a lot of them to integrate them in one e-commerce.
Integrating a payment method, once you have a payment service provider, that's what they are there to do. So you should be able to easily add a payment method through the back office of that. So it's not at all difficult to do that. But the first step is understanding if that's the right payment method you want to offer, I think. So you just can't think, oh, I want to go to Netherlands, let me offer Ideal, incurring an unnecessary, process and integration for that. The first thing is to understand your website traffic, whether Dutch consumers are browsing your website. And once you know that where your traffic is coming from, then I think it's pretty simple to work with suppliers like payment service providers to offer the right method. It's not difficult to do at all.
Okay, and the last one will be from your experience, which is the country where it is more difficult to enter to sell there if you don't know it well in Europe, for example?
I think that we can go by that. It's very difficult to enter. I mean, every country has its own opportunities if you have the right approach. UK is the biggest e-commerce market. It's one of the biggest in the world, and the value of the e-commerce in the UK is miles ahead of any other country in Europe. But the consumers in UK are pretty picky. And so it's really knowing what products you're offering and what you want to do, rather than go by how difficult it is to enter. I think looking at your own website traffic and putting some efforts, if say, for example, if you want to enter France or if you want to enter UK, it's all about localization and the effort you put in. And every time you put in that effort, it pays off. We have a great example of Fanidelia in Spain, actually, our customers. And he actually expanded in a segment which is traditionally Amazon photo, which is fancy. And he's able to expand to 26 countries, very successful in countries like Germany and even Eastern Europe, in a market which you think Amazon would not allow anyone else to penetrate. And that came by understanding what's required in those markets, offering the niche markets that people want during carnival time. It's really localization. You can penetrate into any country provided you understand how to do international expansion.
Okay, thank you very much, Sangeeta.